All right, good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 10th. The time is now 6:02. You're gonna roll call. District 1, Jeffrey Lee.
Present.
District 2, Samuel Gomez. District 3, Diane Easter.
Here.
District 4, Chairwoman Felicia Harrell. Myself, District 5. Tax Commissioners Lee Kelly.
Here.
Newest Tax Commissioner appointee Nick Craig.
Here.
And Clerk of Superior Court alternate members Eric Pike. So, if I could get a vote to approve the minutes from May 13th meeting.
Make a motion.
I motion made. Motion made by Jeff. Motion made by Jeff, second by Sam. All in favor? Any opposers? We'll have a general updates by ethics officer.
Good afternoon, board. Here's our general updates in regards to where we are with our cases. We did have an appeals hearing out before Judge Roberts. And that on that day, she informed us of where she was in regards to making a decision. She gave Mr. Keith 30 days to supplement any other thing that he needed to supplement the record. She said thereafter she will produce a order. So now we're just waiting on her to produce it. With our pending cases, we have had a very demanding week. Got 3 brand new cases just this week. We have officially received all of the subpoenaed documents in Doe versus Munez, Hernandez, and Croft. So that is a very thousands of documents, very voluminous. So we're working our way through them, but we have received them all now. And Doe versus, that actually should be Doe versus Harrell and Harris, not Doe versus Doe. We received that today, or this week. We received versus Morris this week and Morrison versus Matthews this week. So you can all expect all of those cases to be ready for a preliminary investigation or preliminary hearing at next month's meeting. That may be a lengthy meeting. Those are all of the pending cases that we have right now. Any questions about the current status of our cases?
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
In reference to producing an order, what does that entail?
So the judge will make a decision on whether or not she will uphold the board's decision on Otis Key. And that decision is documented by way of an order per se. And that becomes what she sends out to Mr. Key as well as the board, either affirming what the board decided in Otis Key or saying, no, I don't agree, and reversing.
So in the event that she reverses it, then it's just no more for, okay.
So question for you, when you go through the many documents for Doe versus Munez, Hernandez, and Croft, are you gonna do similar file for us all to review so we can go through the evidence prior to?
Like the binders that
Yeah. Because I know we typically use them for hearings, but given the information provided, I think we should definitely go through it before we make any kind of decision to move forward with the hearing.
I think the easiest thing will probably be a link. I can use thousands of documents.
Okay.
So I think a binder may not be helpful, but I'll be happy to put everything in a link and then share the link.
Okay.
Any other questions on the pending cases?
And number 5 and 6 just came in.
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, 6, okay.
So basically, our responsibility is to look through the paperwork and make a recommendation.
For the first one, 2025 EB1, we have already had what we call a preliminary investigation. So what the preliminary investigation entails is we get a complaint and then the board reviews the complaint or any other supporting documents that accompany the complaint. And based on that complaint, vote whether or not they believe we need to do a deep dive. Okay, more of a formal investigation. Once that formal investigation is complete, then we'll actually have a hearing. And then you'll be hearing not only from myself, but presenting all of the evidence that was found, but you'll also be hearing from the respondents if they so choose to come and participate.
So it's not like we're gonna have like a lot of work to do. It's just gonna be all advice and recommendations from the ethics officer. Yeah, we'll kind of decide from there. So,
Yes and no,
right.
because I mean, she may give a recommendation, we may find different findings and.
Well, yeah, that's what, well, I was gonna say what I wanted to say as far as then, that's when the lengthy conversation comes in. As far as, because we all have different opinions of what, we believe should kind of go forward. So,
And we can ask questions.
oh, plenty of questions.
Okay.
And before, I will get both of you all as new board members to have your official training. So then you'll have a better understanding about the processes in general and then your role and responsibility.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful. Any other questions about our pending cases? Next is in regards to training. I did get an inquiry in regards to outside training. So one of the Henry County employees attended a conference. And a part of that conference, they took government ethics training. And the question became, can this suffice as my ethics training for the year? I said I would bring that before the board, see how the board felt about it, and then follow up with that individual. In this particular situation, they went to a conference, University of Georgia. I put just a copy of the slides, presented in this portion on government. So they want to know, could that satisfy as their annual ethics training?
I have a couple questions. How does the slides compare to what's put out as our trainings?
So our in-person trainings, it doesn't compare at all, because our in-person trainings train specifically on our code of ethics. Now, granted, our code of ethics has changed, so it's kind of like a refresher. Now that training seems very basic, kind of overview of ethics in general, which is more of a hybrid of our virtual training. Our virtual training incorporates some of our code of ethics, but also has general things too. So if I had to say that would suffice for anything, it's more attuned to our virtual than our in-person. And the board has already voted to set virtual for, certain employees in the in-person
If y'all want to pass.
home office.
Because when the ethics course was first implemented, we did the Carl Benson training, right? So basically you all kind of perfected what we learned from Carl.
Never done that. That may have happened before I came on.
Yeah, the board, the first board went there and took the.
Oh, so I'm not familiar.
You have not.
Okay,
I would be opposed because there's a standard we've set for the entire community. And if at any point we allow someone to supplement that training or replace it with something outside, then we have to allow that for every person in the county. Otherwise, we're being impartial to that person. So when there's a standard, it has to be upheld if they're going to continue to be a county employee, is my opinion.
I agree with that.
I agree with that pretty much.
Standardized. Well, if that's the case, then it has to be clear that the official training should only be what we're providing.
Not necessarily, because every department still has standing training. And I understand that the commissioners department, board of commissioners have always had some sort of ethics training. Whether it mirrors what we do here as a standard in the county, I don't know exactly what it is. But I don't think we should replace anything they're already doing. But I think whatever our standard is for the entire county should stand, because it still is a requirement that was put forth.
Not sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that we accepting what they're doing as far as ethics?
So what I'm saying is this, prior to us existing, right? The commissioner board and probably some other departments, maybe even HR, were already taking some sort of ethics training, okay? We didn't replace that training. That training continues however many years they're supposed to have it, whether it's annually, every 2 years or 3 years. That stays the same. Whatever standard, departmental standards there are, we don't interfere with that. However, we do have a county standard, and I don't think their departmental standards should interfere with our county standard. Do you understand me now?
I get it. But let me ask you this. There's a lot of ethics trainings out there.
Mhm.
So my concern is that if you open up the door and you open up the door as we're saying that you accept.
We don't, I'm not opening
No,
doors.
not you, no, this is in general.
No. So hear me when I say this, okay? So let's say, there is something that stood up before us. And it has been in standard practice for that department even after we've existed. But it never replaced what we did as a board and what we required for the county. So one is not interchangeable. They just both stand independently and still is a requirement, whether that's their department requirement. We don't ask them to remove that requirement. We just say that this standard for the county exists for all employees.
I get that. I was talking about the outside training. So if I'm taking ethics training in college per se, would that do for the county? And then the answer would be no, because that's not internal to what we do. That makes sense?
That's just it. Now, what you do outside county, that's just extra,
Exactly.
yeah, extra
Yes.
training.
And I'm just saying, make that the standard so everybody understands that we don't just pick and choose.
Right. And last thing we need them coming back saying is, okay, well, I took this. And if something happens, well, I didn't know, that this was supposed to, that's so, yeah,
It just doesn't align with the push to get everybody trained,
right.
the way that we're deciding, just.
And my recommendation will be what the board has already articulated. Then we start nitpicking of where's the training coming from? What type of material? Now do we have to go through syllabus? Now do we have to go through? We know the training we provide, and we know the training we provide is in accordance with statute, which is what they require us to do. I had to bring it to the board and get the board's opinion, and I will report back accordingly.
And I agree with what you said. It's a refresher training. So it's a refresher on what the county requires, not what generic ethics requires.
When it comes to our training, we have trained 872 people in person this year. We have trained 779 virtually, and we only have 525 to go. So we are super excited about that. Still got a little 12 people left on the police department, but they're
12 or 2.
12.
One was on vacation and the other one was on something else.
12.
Okay.
The one that came from annual, you know what? I think you're right. There was one that came back from annual leave, but my sister is still pulling up 12.
Okay.
Not annual leave, but he was on some type of leave. I got an email this week that advised me that he is back.
Okay.
Trying to do his training. For whatever reason, my system is still pulling up 12, so I gotta see why that is.
That's really good. That's really good.
We have now 4 commissioners that have completed their training, and we are waiting on one. I did take the board's critique from last month and I put deadline. And so I went back, added deadline, all of the trainings. We had talked about, that 30-day deadline, so it doesn't stay open, so they'll know you have a hard stop. So we are at 83% complete for our commissioners now, and we just have one remaining. Our Parks and Rec have taken, it doesn't look like it, but we are a lot further than the last meeting. I think last time I told you all I was concerned about Parks and Rec. I have gotten and met with the administration. A lot of them that were being counted are no longer even with Parks and Rec. As you know, they have the seasonal workers and camps and things of that nature. So we were able to delete them out of the system. We were able to pinpoint the ones that need virtual training because they are camp workers Monday through Friday. They just cannot do, the other ones. And then some that they actually want to do in person, even though the option to do virtual. So we're working with them to get them trained, and we're now at 33% compared to the 27 where we were before. So we're making some strides with Parks and Rec. I knew this department would be the most challenging department to train. And it has proven itself to be true, but we're getting there. And I'm still happy that we're in June and we got a whole year of training and we're still making strides. The Henry County Board of Elections, 3 of them have completed their training. We're waiting on 2. We have completed the Henry County Zoning Advisory Board. They have completed theirs, 2 to 4, so we're still waiting on some of those. We were able to start presenting our certificates. If you all remember last month, we talked about rolling those out for the departments and the boards to just build the morale of each department, showing them that we appreciate you of being committed to being a department of ethics. So Gloria was able to present to the fire chief their certificate. I attended the development board meeting. I presented to them their certificate. We have a couple more that have been updated. We will be presenting to the water authority. They have completed everything. The Board of Assessors have completed theirs. The Assessor's Office actually just completed all of their training today, so they're gonna get an updated certificate as well.
Thank you.
The Purchasing Department is complete and Henry County Transit is. So we will be providing them with all of their updates and their certificates.
Let me ask you, let's see if this is a good idea. So once they are all complete, so we have deadlines and when we, right? For those that are not complete now. All right, as soon as they're complete, is it possible that you all can work on some press release for that?
We can look at Henry Herald, see what that looks like.
Counter to? Or, I mean,
We can. I know what Henry Herald is gonna cost.
Yeah.
So it'll cost the board to be able to run something in the newspaper.
so I think to show that a county is small and as large as Henry has been able to train at least majority of their employees in ethics training. I mean, it kind of puts you out there. And of course, it piggybacks on that the Senate bill, So it kind of puts Emmanuel Jones and all of them in the spotlight too, but more so put Henry County in the spotlight, just showing, okay, hey, we're doing something that Fulton County, Gab County, all these other neighboring counties are not doing. And it's a 2-man show, really.
We can do that.
The other thing I was saying, be careful what you wish for.
Mhm.
So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for.
I mean, yeah, but I think just in my opinion, and I mean, I could be wrong, I guess, because a lot of people still in Henry don't know about the ethics board. At least just put it out there like, okay, hey, we do have an ethics board. So, I think the only thing, it might be more work because now people will be, hey, got ethics board, I want to make a complaint and make it, so.
Yeah, this week, which is, we've never had that since, founded. When I trained the tax assessors board, one of the guys actually asked me and invited us to speak with the Rotary Club. Because he mentioned that he didn't even know about Henry County's ethics board. And he enjoyed the presentation and asked if we could come do that as community outreach to notify them. And I told him, of course, I'd be glad to go and just educate more public about what we do.
I think perhaps consider grassroots. Because I would hate to run to the media and the majority of your county doesn't really know and haven't grasped or touched or understood or what we do as a board. I think it would behoove us, in my opinion, to at least involve the community and get an opinion of what they think of us as a board and how much or how better we can do our job as a board before we look for a pat on our back. I think that we could probably, obviously, I think they're going to start putting us on the calendar for the county events more so that she can, Ms. Bannister can interact more with community in those different events that the county is hosting free for us. It may even be wise to reach out to PTOs at different schools, and we have a ton of them, elementary, middle, and high, and introduce ourselves to parents and allow us to have an opportunity to start touching the community a little bit more before we go clapping ourselves and patting ourselves on the back. Because on one thing, it's fantastic for those different departments to participate in such a large way because police and fire, that is fantastic. But if majority of our county don't know we exist, how fantastic are we really? As a board, perhaps they're fantastic for completing, but we still have some work to do as a board to feel felt in our community. It's my personal opinion.
That will help too is the fall forum.
Mhm.
I think that would be a good time, like you said, to get grassroots when we're inviting the community out to say, come out. We want to hear from you. We want to touch and feel and want you to understand, one, what we do, and two, how we need you. Or how
We serve you
Yes.
as a community, because we serve the county. And every person that lives in this county has a right to file a complaint against an employee. And we need them to first understand that we exist and how we exist and what we do for community. But also how we can better protect the community, because we're not out here trying to take heads, right? We're not out here trying to threaten county employees. We want the county employees to understand us fully, and also the community, and how we can all be better for the community. That's what I would want, to serve the community better before we go clapping for ourselves. Because I think it doesn't speak well if we're on the news and half our counties watching the news and they don't know we exist.
And I don't think me personally, I don't think that it'll be a clap on, patting ourselves on the back. It's just more of a thing. It's a way just to get the ethics board out. I mean, we can spend money in the Henry Herald and we can spend money trying to put out flyers that the ethics board exists. But if we can just hit it in one pot and say, okay, hey, we exist. This is a strides that since implementation the county has made. We're actually patting the county on the back and telling them like, okay, hey, y'all doing a good job. I'm not receiving no personal credit. None of us are receiving personal
I think
credit.
we may pat them on the back, but I don't think we would be patting ourselves on the back. I don't think we would be doing ourselves a decent service. And I say that because we're wanting to say, hey, we want this free publicity. There are many ways to get free publicity. We can knock on doors, we can hold meetings, we can go to schools. There are a lot of ways we can interact with community that perhaps we haven't considered yet. But before we go to the media, when you go to the media, don't forget there's good and there's bad publicity. And when you go saying, hey, fantastic, they've done so much training, and the majority of your community is watching that report and saying, well, this is my opinion of my county right now, which may not be favorable for a lot of people in our county right now. And then we fall in that pot before they even fully understand what it is we do. Because because a lot of folks think we're being controlled by the Board of Commissioners because they don't fully understand that we stand independently from them. Just because our budget is coming from the county, they don't understand that we're all sitting at this table for free. We have done it time after time. I think we need to educate them so that when we do go to the media, there's a favorable opinion of what it is we do and how we serve. My opinion.
I agree with that personally, but I think the purpose of us is you don't want to have to get to the point to come to us. So I think when people don't know it exists, employees, elected officials aren't doing things in a light that needs us to be brought into it. So I think us saying that, I look at it as it's a viewpoint of the spin that all these county employees went and did all this, all this came from over here. So I think it's not saying we whatever, but I think it's looked at in a manner that, we weren't needed. And that's, the hope and dream of all this. So just my personal opinion on that.
One thing one reason I started the certificates is, not only do I feel like we still need the community to know who we are, I still feel like we need the employees to appreciate who we are. And by doing the certificates, and it seems like it's working, it gives them a sense that we want to get our ethics training done. We want to be a department of ethics. We want to show it's a little internal competition. Hey, police, you all didn't finish. Us over here at fire, we did. So it's that good morale to make them want to buy in per se the training, because once they're in the room, if you haven't attended a training with a specific department, I encourage you all to come, because they really enjoy training. They really ask questions. They really get involved. We really debate sometimes. It's just getting them to buy.
Mhm.
We're going to change topics for a little bit, if it's okay. Make sure it's okay before I do. Okay, so as far as the training, notice that there's an uptick as far as complaints. You're probably already doing this, but I wanted to know whether or not you're looking at the upticks and what the cases are and whether you're incorporating some of that training and also, are you, because we've been doing this for a while now, are you looking at case studies that are, I mean, of course, you're gonna not mention names, but looking at case studies that you can bring up that's unique to the county that you can offer with the training?
So the first question, a lot of the complaints come from the trainings. So it's actually the reverse. Instead of me incorporating the complaints and what not to do into the trainings are sufficient enough that they understand I can file a complaint based on the hypotheticals I was already given in training. That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
And then what I do is, prime example, when I'm giving training, I give them our real cases scenarios. These are the cases that we have gotten based on these violations, and this is how it could have been prevented. I tell them that we want to be proactive, not reactive. Had this one step been different, then it may not have gotten past probable cause. So I still take the cases we do have and reincorporate them as real life examples.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Chair, that is all the updates that I have for you.
All right. Good. All right, we don't need an executive session, do we? You have anything else? Everybody? All right. Did you get a motion to adjourn?
Actually, yes,
Uh-oh.
please. Yes, I do. In executive session. We're talking personnel, but for executive, okay, yes.
Motion.
Motion for us to go into executive session as a board
I'll second.
and for the officer and administrator to stay.
A motion made by Vice Chair, second by Mr. Craig. All in favor? Any opposed? We're in executive session. Be a good time, let's see. All right, if I can get a motion to come out of executive session
Motion to come out of executive session.
made by Sam, second by Lee. All in favor? Any opposers? Get a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Made by Jeff. Second by Sam, all in favor? Any opposed? The meeting's adjourned. All right.
Oh, it was a bad.